Hello, my name is Tony Kempson, and I am a technology instructor too here at the Ultimate Medical Academy. And today I will be conducting a training video on Microsoft Word and using the reference tab and APA formatting. So let's get started. In today's session, we're going to talk about or have an overview of the MS Word ribbon. We're also going to talk about APA definition and background information for APA, the reference tab and groups, the source manager, using citations, the bibliography, and then we will conclude with a summary of what we talked about today. Now, what you're looking at on your screen is a typical Microsoft Word ribbon. Depending on the settings of your computer and what you're using, you'll see this screen or you'll see a somewhat similar screen to this with less functions if you're using the Microsoft Word app, meaning not the one that's for your desktop, but the one that's in Office 365. In Office 365, there's not as many functions available to you. That's why it's always good to have the app to, if you're on a go, to use basic functions. But at home, it's always good to open up the desktop app so that you will have full functionality of Microsoft Word and what it can do for you. So notice as you follow my mouse, you'll see that the ribbon is basically primarily made of two sections. At the top, you'll see what's called tabs. So there's the home tab, insert, design, layout, references, which we're going to go into more detail today, and mailings, review, view, and help. Now, for each one of these tabs, and you'll know which tab you're in because it'll either be highlighted or in my case, because of the settings that I have, it will have a blue underline. And that color may be different depending on what type of settings you have on your computer. But it will be indicated by some way that you'll know to let you know that you're in the which tab you're in. So in the home tab, at the bottom of each, when you click on a tab, at the bottom of the ribbon, you'll see the functions or you'll see what's called groups. So in the home tab, you have the clipboard group, which you can do copy and pasting, the font group, which will allow you to manipulate and format fonts, paragraph for formatting, styles for formatting, editing, voice sensitivity, and editor. For the most part, you'll use these three for the most part when you're doing regular work in Microsoft Word, creating essays and different things like that. Now, you also use editing and some styles, but as you click on each one, the groups will change. So we're not going to be focusing so much on the home group, more so on the references group in this particular tutorial. Now, what will happen is I'm going to be going back and forth here shortly in between the PowerPoint presentation that you see here and a live Word document, and we're going to actually insert a or input information for our citation and using the bibliography, but that's going to be a little bit down the road. So let's go to our next page because you're probably wondering, well, what is APA formatting? And that's a very legitimate question. And I went a little further with this because I want to give you some background on it. Is not only just tell you what it is, but some background. Now, I actually went to the APA stands for American Psychological Association, and we'll get into who they are here shortly. But I went to their website and actually got the definition and background information on APA from there because you've heard the term hear it from the horse's mouth, right? Well, this is the horse. And this is so we're hearing it from their mouth. And I want you to notice something, and I'll talk to a little bit more in detail here shortly. But notice down here at the bottom right of this particular image, this is where I got the information from. That's called citing my work. Now, whenever you do any work that's not your own, if it didn't originate, it wasn't an original thought or view from you, you must cite where you got it from. And that's why whenever you see information on that I put on these screens, if I got it from somewhere else, you'll see that where I got it from, I'll cite that information and put that information in the bottom right hand corner or the center or whatever. But anytime you get anything from the internet, a book, a journal, any outside source other than your original thought, you have to give credit to where you got it from, to who you got it from. So about APA style. An APA style provides a foundation for effective understand, scholarly communication because it helps writers present their ideas in a clear, precise, and inclusive manner. That's very important. And we'll and here shortly in the next couple of slides, you'll understand why the APA formatting is a widely used and widely accepted standard of formatting in the writing community. Now, where did it come from? You can pause this and go into more detail if you like, and to find out where it come from. But it's kind of old. It came around, originated in 1929. Okay. And a group of psychologists, anthropologists, and business leaders got together and were like, you know what? We need to create a standardized form of writing that is put information in a certain way that people who's reading this information can find this information, find out where it's from, and find out the main meat and potatoes of what it is that you're trying to convey in the message or in the writing. And so they came up with this APA formatting style. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why is that important? Why is that such a thing? Well, here it is: uniformity. Uniformity and consistency enables readers to focus on ideas being presented rather than formatting and can scan work quickly for key points, findings, and sources. So there you have it. You want to be able to use a specific formatting style that is uniform across all spectrums, that where when you're reading something and you know it's in APA formatted, you know where to go to find certain information. You'll know how to read the bibliography or the work cited, and the at the end, you'll the reference page in essence. So and you'll know what things to look for to see where they got the information from. How is it relevant? You can actually use it to be able to cite other work and determine how credible and relevant that information is, right? So it's style guidelines, right, that encourage, I went too far, that encourage authors to fully disclose essential information and allow readers to dispense with minor distractions such as inconsistencies and omissions, punctuation, and those types of things. So it encompasses all of that. But again, it's just a style. It's widely accepted across all writing spectrum, scholarly in that regard. And it's important to know that most schools use some form. There's another popular form, there's many, and I'll show you here shortly when I open up a Word document. There are many styles, but typically the two widely most styles, formatting styles and writing are APA, which is American Psychological Association, and MLA, which is Modern Language Association. But today we're going to be focusing on APA because that's what UMA uses. Right. So now let's get into the reference tab. This is the meat and potatoes of this particular training tutorial. Now I've added some arrows to show you what we're going to be looking at. Notice that the reference tab here is highlighted. It's not necessarily highlighted, but it's underlined. And again, yours may look a little different depending on what you're using. Are you using the Microsoft Word desktop app, which I'm using, or are you using the Office 365 app, the web-based app? Okay, so you may see a little bit difference in between the two, but just use download the desktop app and use it to get full functionality. Okay, we're going to look at citations, right, using the citation section here, as well as we're going to look at managing sources and the bibliography, right? So let's go to our next slide and I'm going to show you something. This is a picture. I am going to show you what this looks like. Then I'm going to open a Word document and actually perform it and then come back to the PowerPoint. So let's go ahead and show you what this is. To get this on the screen, I clicked on Manage Sources. Now, Manage Sources is this. If I had, which I do in a minute, I'll show you. If I had some references in my source manager, it would show up here. typically, if you're writing a paper, you're using multiple sources. You would have multiple sources or multiple entries in here. But for purpose of this, we're going to show you where there's one. I only have one in there when I pull up the Word document, but it'll show you where your sources are available, show you by author, it'll show you a list, and then whatever one you're working in currently, it'll have a preview down here. So now let me go to the Word document. I'm going to open up a Word document. Now, this is the Word document that I'm writing. Now it's fictional. Okay. So I just did something to give you a sense of how to use these things. So this is just the theory of medical evolution in product labeling. It makes no sense. Don't worry about it. Just assume that this is something very, very important, right? So let's go to our references tab. Let's click on our references because we were in the home tab. Now you'll see here are the same things I showed you in that screenshot. Now let's go manage sources. Now I put a source in there already, and I'll show you what I did. I already put a source in here. So when I click on manage sources, here it is. I've already put an article, and I'm gonna go to that article just a minute to show you what I did. So I put the article in here, and it shows the current one that's here, right? And then it shows a preview of what it looks like in APA formatting, right? Now, if I wanted to edit this, I would click edit, and then it will pull up the source, which is the same thing as the insert citation, which I'm going to show you really shortly. But look at what I put in there. I put the title. Notice the first thing, the type of source. The article that I'm using, and let's go to it really quickly. The article that I am using is let me open it up a little bit. There we go. The article that I'm using is the FDA issues, the title of it, FDA issues draft guidance on geriatric information and product labeling, right? This is a article from a periodical and not a journal. There's a difference, and I'll show you what those look like. So let me split my screen between this, and we're going to split between this. Oh, let me go back. There we go. Go over. Well, I have to close this first. And I have to close this first. So let me go now. There we go. And let's bring back the article. Here we go. Split screen. This is a wonderful tool. I'll cover this in another tutorial. So here we are. Here's the article on the right. Here is my paper that I'm working on the left. If I click on manage sources over here, it'll bring up this. Now, remember I said if I click edit, you see what it shows? It shows where I put the information. So I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna close this. Notice that what I just did, because when I click on insert citation, we're gonna add, if we added a new source, it would show the same thing. So whenever you add a source to your source manager, you have to put in the information. So what information did I put in? I put in the title, this title here. I put it in, the title of it over here, right? It won't allow me to do it because it's open. But the first thing, and I skipped one. Let me back up just a little bit. You want to be able to determine what type of source you're using, whether it be a book section, a journal article, or article in a periodical. That's what I used. This particular one, and this is where people get a little bit mixed up. This particular one has a corporate author, which is, if you look on the thing over here, the corporate author is Adverse Event Reporting News. They're the ones that wrote this, even though the publisher is Washington Information. The author is that. So you would click a corporate author because there's no single person that wrote this. Okay. So, and it's a very short article, this one is. So the title goes there, the periodical title, which is the Adverse Event Reporting News. Again, the year, you'll find the year here, the month, the date, how many pages over here. So all the information, especially in a journal as well, you will find in the top, most of the time you'll find at the top of the article. And if there were a person who wrote this, then their name would be here. The authors would be here as well. So once you put that information, it's in there. So watch this. So now, if I wanted to create a citation, I would put my cursor where I want the citation, which will be at the end of the sentence. And then I would go to citation up here, click it. I want to put the citation. I'm going to click here and look what it put. This is an APA in text citation. So what I did is you use those whenever you have a thought or an idea that came from someone else. Like if I had to write, I was writing this and this thought that first sentence came from someone else, I would give them credit in text by putting it here. This is where this idea came from. Then I would continue writing my paper, right? So those are things that you want to make sure that you look for. Now, let's look at. We've already looked at the managed sources, which we only have one in this one. We created a citation. Now it's time to either create a bibliography or we're going to do our works cited. Now, let's go back to our PowerPoint really briefly so that we can come and show you um, where we just did. Now, you saw these are the site places that we went to. Now, let's go here. These are the, remember I showed you, you use your type of source, you put it in there. I demonstrated that earlier. The title, the journal, the year, the pages, those are all things that you will put in there. Now, finally is the bibliography. Now, this is what it looks like because I took a screenshot when you click on bibliography. So let's go back to our Word document. So you'll see, and I'll come back to this here briefly. Let's go to our Word document. Now, you'll see here that we created. I'll make it big for you because we don't have to go back. Now, if I click on bibliography, there's going to be a few things that show up. It's going to be a bibliography section here. There's a references section here, and there's also a works cited section. Now, depending on what you're writing, the type of format that you're using, even your instructor may ask you to provide a works cited page. All of these are basically the same thing. It just depends on what you're writing and the style you're writing in to determine what you're going to use. Bibliography, reference, or works cited is basically all the same information, just slightly different formatting. So in this case, you're going to be using a bibliography for the for this particular document that I'm writing. So once I click on, let me click away. I'm going to click on bibliography. Let's just say I want a bibliography. I'm going to click it and it automatically puts it at the bottom. It will automatically put it at the bottom, right? Now, or the last thing on your page. Let's just say you want, so I'm going to undo, if you know, remember your undo. Let's just say you want to create a reference page. Well, your reference page will go here. So same thing, click bibliography, references, it goes at our PowerPoint, come back to it, you'll see you click on it. It's in the, and if you have your, this is your citation right here. That's why I put those in green and put these in yellow. When you click on bibliography, you will have the option to put a bibliography, a reference page, or works cited. Okay. So, in summary, we went over the ribbon in Microsoft Word. We defined and provided background information for APA formatting, and we talked about some advanced features in the reference tab to include Source Manager, creating, inserting a citation, and inserting a bibliography. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope it was informative for you, and thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.